Hey everybody, welcome back to build part 2 of our F-19 Specter. This old but good Monogram kit. We're ready to get working on the painting, on the detailing. I got the weapons kit in and we'll take a look at those really soon. I figured out what we're going to put in that retractable weapons bay that is no longer retractable because I can leave it in place, but great weapons options for that. I'm really excited. All that I've done in the intervening time is I have painted the canopy rails and everything a little bit of NATO black just as a base coat so that when we open up the canopy later it is black like the rest of the cockpit. What I'm going to do before I paint is I am going to just wipe the whole thing down with a little isopropyl alcohol just to get rid of any kind of fingerprints or anything, and I recognize I'm holding it with bare hands. I'm going to switch to gloves in a few minutes, but I just, we want to make sure the model's nice and clean before we start priming, and I've done a lot of touching and holding and flipping and flopping of this guy as I went through and did a lot of the little modifications that we have, so I just want a nice clean model to start with. That's what I want to make sure of. So this process should only take a minute or two to get done. And once we have it nice and clean, we will be ready to start the paint job and get going on everything else. So give me a second and then we'll go. So I've got the airbrush loaded with just some Vallejo white surface primer to start with. I think that'll be a pretty good base for the color we're doing. I've never used it before, but we'll see. So let's get going. Here is the weapon set from Meng that we're going to be using. It comes from their 1/48 scale satellite guided bombs. So we're going to be putting on a full rack of GBU-53s right here. The GBU-53s are pretty cool advanced weapons. Just like the GBU-39 small diameter bomb, they are small, they have a diameter, and they are bombs. Now they are small 250-pound weapons that have a primary GPS guidance mode, but they also have a laser, sorry, not a laser, a millimeter wave active radar guidance mode, so they can seek out their targets based on a pre-programmed threat library, and they can just target what's around. They can be targeted to a specific radar target, or they can be programmed to attack something that matches a specific radar image, because with millimeter wave you actually can just like imaging infrared, you can get an image of what you're looking at in infrared. With millimeter wave you can basically get almost a radar picture of the target you're looking at. They use millimeter wave radar in the Patriot missile that is designed specifically to intercept ballistic missiles, so that it can identify and target the warhead instead of going after stuff like just fuselage or fuel tank or something other than that. Millimeter wave radar is pretty fancy with what it does. And the Longbow Apache, for example, uses a millimeter wave radar system for its Hellfire. So anyway, we're going to throw them on here. And this is the BRU-61 rack that they're carried on. It's going to need a little bit of trimming to fit, just a little bit, but there we go. Let's get this glued down. And then this should fit really nicely nice and snug in that internal weapons base space, center line on our aircraft. I need to put some more glue in this. I ran out of Tamiya cement a long time ago, and I've got my Plasti-Weld in there. It's time for a refill. All right, so we'll do some sanding all around the edges there, but if we take a look at the aircraft, this sits very nicely right there, right where we want it to be. These are the GBU 53s compared to a 2,000-pound bomb, by the way. So they're very small. And I've got to assemble 4 of them. So here they all are with all their little pieces. So I'm going to put all these guys together and get ready to paint them. I don't know if I'm going to paint them individually or paint them on the rack, because they're all kind of the same color anyway. But I'll work on that shortly. And I've got all the other weapons together that we're going to throw on there. So weapons are taken care of. We have to do the main painting on the plane itself, though. I am really excited to see how this paint comes out. So it's been a little over 24 hours since we primed. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to hit the insides of those intakes, because I have cut a piece of mesh that I'm going to put over there. Be a little realistic again, stealth-wise. I seem to be walking this magic line between realistic and not realistic. But the F-117 had a cool mesh covering to block any radar from getting into the intakes and getting any kind of reflection, and I sort of want to do that. This seems very much more metallic, this paint, than most have glass finishes I've seen. So I'm just going to start with a little bit. Looks very silvery. Looks not at all dark enough, and much too metallic. In fact, it looks almost like a gunmetal and not quite the gunship gray look of the actual have glass. Now, I don't know if this is supposed to be put on over something, but this is very metal looking. I might actually spray this whole thing gunship gray and then spray this over it, because this just seems to be a very metallic looking color. Not at all the dark gray that it needs to be. Might have to try this again with a base coat of a dark gray and then this over it. I think I finally got a decent representation of the have glass finish. That the paint, this definitely was not it. I mean, you guys, you saw what it looked like before. So I tried a couple different things. First, I tried to give it a little overcoat with Tamiya smoke, which just made it look brown. So then what I did was I took a very thin down mixture of gunship gray and just started applying it in very small, thin coats to build it up over the metallic look until I got the kind of the color I was looking for, but still with the metallic hue, the metallic shine behind it. And I think that's what we ended up with here, and that's good. That's working pretty well. That's a Have Glass 5 finish. So I ordered the Mission Models Have Glass Gray. You know, I haven't really read a review that says anything is an exact match, but at least the Mission Models is an acrylic, not a lacquer. So I can get a jar and I can mix that with, say, you know, a Games Air Gunship Gray, and have a standing mixed paint that I can use in the future, because there are some other things I want to do. I tried to take some Tamiya curve tape here and put it around the screen, and then this is just US medium gray for the radome, and that would be the same color like, say, on an F-35 the RAM tape would be. I tried to put it around the screen, and it was semi-disastrous. It did not work out well. But you know what? It was trying something new. I took a shot. It's the best we got. I think it looks okay from a distance. Not so good from close up. But like I said, it is what it is. I masked off the exhaust area because we're going to have that replicate the ceramic type heat coating on the F-23, which I always like to do with stealth stuff. The canards are looking pretty good, just kind of testing them for where they'll be in their finished placement. Got a little bit of overspray in the gear bays. We'll fix that, no problem. Got to unmask that. I also painted the sensor housing in medium gray, and I'll do the sensor ball in like a light ghost gray so that it stands out just a little bit, you know, a little different. All these hard points need to be painted in a medium gray or a dark ghost gray color as well, because that's what they would be painted on the the F-35. So anyway, I think that the paint job is successful in the end. It has that dark color, but it has the metallic shine. And if we get close up, you can see that it has the metallic look to it. It took a little bit of time to work it out to get it just right for what I wanted. So I am happy with the results. It took a long time to get there. So a couple more little touch-ups here and there, and then we're going to be ready for gloss coating, and then we'll get to work on the decals. Nose painted, majority of aircraft painted. I did the slime lights. I found a great color for it, and it's an ACAN color, and I can't remember off the top of my head what it is, but it's like a lemon yellow or something. And it's great for the low voltage lighting system. I did all of the hard points in neutral gray. I thought that was a good color. Probably should have gone a shade lighter, but it works. It separates it from the rest of the fuselage from our half glass finish. But I am all glossed and ready for decals now. And what we're going to be using are the Furball Aero F-35 Anthology Part 1. This has a lot of great options. Two of these aircraft, I can say that I actually was there for the commander. So this 33rd Fighter Wing plane, I served under Colonel Toth when he was the commander of the 33rd Fighter Wing, which was really cool. And this weapons school bird, I was actually this is the Warfare Center, but I went to weapons school when General Silveria was there at Nellis, which is really awesome. By the way, here are the decals. Excellent high-quality decals. I've used Furball Aero before. A big fan of 2Bobs. I use them all the time. I've only used Furball Aero once, but they were really, really good. And because all of the tail codes are a little bit big compared to the vertical stabilizer that we have, but because everything else on there is so small, I think it's all going to fit, which is good. So we'll see how it turns out. Decals, pretty much done. Not a whole lot of markings on this. Worked with what I had. I mean, I like it. It's pretty much just not a lot, but enough that it looks kind of cool. So again, still pretty happy with the finish and everything. Time to move on to weapons. So here is the BRU 61 with the assembled GBU 53s. They're all ready for paint. Everything's ready for painting. I have all the weapons picked out. So we've got a pair of AIM-9Xs. Everything is from Hasegawa except for the small diameter bombs. We've got a pair of GBU 12s. These will go, we already said, on the inner pylons. And then we've got a pair of GBU 38s. We'll go on the outer pylons. So when I originally measured the dispenser, it fit perfectly in that rotating bomb bay section. Unfortunately, when we stick the GBUs on there, it's just a little bit too big. But you know what? I'm going to go with it. I'm going to play the oh so what game. I really am. I love the way it looks. I'm really excited to use them. They'll extend a little bit past between the main gear bay doors. And oh well. You know what? Oh well. It's going to happen. I really want to use them. There's not a lot that fits there. You know, when they designed this kit, just like they did with the Tester's MiG-37, they didn't factor on any real life weapons fitting there. I tried a single 2,000-pound bomb, too big. It doesn't make any sense for it to carry a single 500. Why would you launch a plane with one 500-pound bomb? I thought about doing a little trapeze carry for a pair of AIM-9Xs, and then we could put AMRAAMs on the wings. But it's why would you have that? I mean, so why would it only carry two sidewinders internally? Then it would have to carry all of it. So whatever. So we're gonna play. We're just gonna pretend, and we're gonna put these there, and they'll look pretty cool. They really will. So the next step is going to be painting all of our weapons, and then we will get to detailing them out. Then it's pretty quick working on landing gear and finishing touches and getting everything mounted up. So weapons detailing is done. We've got our GBU-12s finished. Now everything needs one more gloss coat, and then they'll get a dull with the rest of the plane. GBU-38 finished off. GBU-53s. Couldn't use most of the decals that came in the kit because, quite frankly, they're for display model, not live active bombs. And then our AIM-9Xs. So these are all ready to be hung on the aircraft. I'm going to wait till after we get the landing gear and all the other detailing done on the plane, and attaching the weapons will basically be one of the last steps before we do the dull coat, the final top coat over the whole thing. To work on the exhaust on our ceramic paneling here, we're just going to use some Alclad jet exhaust to start with to do our main streaks, and then we'll finish it up with a little black pastel, charcoal pastel work to give us some previous burn markings in there. But let's get started here. we have an airplane mounted on wheels. Look at that. Landing gear is attached. Looking pretty good there. So we finally have the actual only proof that all the weapons will clear on the ground, and I did a quick hold up and everything does. So now we have all of our weapons done. We have a canopy I just dropped. We've got that right there. And I think what I'm going to do is, I've been playing with this. I think I'm just, I'm going to leave it unglued so you can, because there's, you know, they didn't build this to be open. We could leave it a little bit, I mean, I could glue it a little bit open, but it's not made for that. It's really not. I guess I could, but I like the way it looks closed. I might just leave it unglued. So you can open it up and look at the cockpit if you want, or just have it displayed closed rather than choosing something. So I did a light wash on the landing gears. I think they're looking good. Little worn in. You really can't see from this angle though. A little worn in, but not terribly dirty. So now it's time to attach some weapons. We have beast mode successfully engaged. Weapons are mounted, and they look pretty good. Simple, crazy glue operation. Nothing fancier than that. And everything is loaded on. And yes, of course, caught in the shadows. But when I do full pictures for the end, you'll get to see everything looking pretty sweet. So I am now ready to give the final 2 overcoats, 1 gloss and then 1 semi-gloss. Gloss to make sure the decals are all down nice, and then the semi-gloss to give everything, you know, the finish I want. Then I'll go ahead and individually dull some things, like wheels, get a full flat matte coat, and a couple other places here and there. I've got to do the painting on the sensor ball. I got to put a little silver tip on the sidewinders, which I forgot to do before attaching them, but that's all right. And then pretty much finished with this one. I'm really happy. Very happy with the way it turned out. Notice I did not do a panel line wash to the recessed panel lines. I just like the way they look better than you know, the big raised lines. I think I want to paint the air refueling receptacle medium gray real quick before we move on. With the final touches done, we have a finished aircraft, and I am pretty happy with it. I went with the leave the canopy removable plan so we can get a look inside and see everything in there, which you really can't see on camera right now, but everybody come on over and get a good look inside so you can see. Working with an old kit like this with its problems without investing an inordinate amount of time, you know, we got a very, very nicely done kit. It could have been, you know, a little better here and there, but overall, I'm really happy with the finish, the half glass finish. Very happy with the way the weapons came out. Love the beast mode of it. I think it really adds something. Very glad we estimated the right amount of nose weight so that we can hang all that ordnance on there and it's not sitting on its tail or anything. It looks really good. Now I have some good pictures at the end. Do a little slideshow so you can see fully all around in good light. We've got our sensors and the sensor ball primed up, ready to go. I'd love to see what people think of this. Maybe there's something you would have done differently, something that you do really like, something that you don't really like. Would you have preferred something like this in just the traditional stealth black, like the F-117? This is from that era. Would you have liked to see this in a camouflage pattern rather than the half glass pattern? It does look a little F-35-ish, being in the half glass dark gray. But I like it. I think it came out really well. So I hope you guys enjoyed watching the process, seeing some of the steps involved. I had a good time doing it. We have one more of these early to mid 80s supposed stealth projects. We have the Tester's F-19, which we'll be working on soon to see what we can turn out with that. The Tester's F-19 is really cool because when Tom Clancy wrote Red Storm Rising, that was the stealth fighter in his 1986 supposed what if World War III that he put into the battle on the American side. So that's going to be it's another simple kit, another what if, and another fun one to do. So we'll be getting to that one real soon, and we'll see what we do with that. So thanks everybody for joining me for this build. I really do welcome all your comments, complaints, criticisms as well. Constructive criticism is just fine with me. What would you have done different on this? Very interesting. But, as I like to say, keep building and build them well, and I will see you guys again soon. Here's some pictures of all around.